Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the performance of the AGL Android 21 in the Red Zone versus Bro League. Now Android 21 is pretty good. She is quite consistent. She has evasion, which is pretty helpful. She also has very strong, solid defense after super attack, and in general she's quite a solid unit. She has a very good, kind of foundation as a unit. She's quite strong, and in general she's really solid. She also brings good healing, quite consistent utility, and it's just a very good option. In terms of leader skill, she has a pretty good leader skill. She covers 3 decent categories in the form of Pepe Gals and Margin Power and Androids, and she covers Crossover, Power Absorption, and Transformation Boost as her additional categories, which is pretty good. She is a very solid unit. I would say for me, she performs really well in a lot of events. However, I do think because of her base form being reliant on evasion, you can have a little bit of an up and down situation with her. If you have quite consistent performance with her evasion, you tend to have a pretty good time. If you have a bit of inconsistent performance with her evasion, then obviously you tend to have a not so great time. It just honestly depends on how lucky you get with her in her base form. That's why AoE events or some of the red zones do cause her a lot of problems, but in general I would say she's pretty good in the vast majority of events. She's quite a consistent unit that does a very good job for the most part. She's solid, she has a good foundation, and she really can do a really solid job in terms of performance. Other than that, I would say overall she's just very solid. So yeah, I think ultimately at the end of the day, Android 21 is in a pretty good position, and I think she does very well in a lot of events, and I think the long form events are generally speaking much better events for her to get into. She does have pretty solid start turn defense, especially if you have dupes in her, and she's obviously running in her transform state. Her evasion is quite helpful, but I will say I think ultimately at the end of the day she's just a little bit shy of being super duper reliable. If you get the hit off and she gets her super off, then she's incredibly strong defensively and can tank some of the hardest super attacks in the game. You're going to see her tank Broly's super attack more than fine with no items. You definitely can have her tank very impressively. It's just more a question of basically in what situations she can get all of that ability to tank coming together. So yeah, basically Android 21 is just in kind of a decent position. I would say she's a very good unit, very reliable, very solid, and she's good in these long form events. I think for me, a big thing about Android 21 is mainly just how you compare her up. She does realistically only have like one super solid pairing partner. Now, during the AoE phase she should be fine. The only reason I'm skipping the AoE phase is because it's just very difficult to make other units essentially last through the AoE phase without using like a double Whis or something. Android 21, only real problem I find with her is a little bit damage wise. She feels a tiny bit underwhelming damage wise. Maybe it's because we're coming off the back of AGL Vegeta, who by the way isn't or is probably around the same level defensively as Android 21 and doesn't provide the healing. I do think maybe coming off the back of his like start of turn 9 million, 10 million attack stats does feel a little bit underwhelming, but at the same time I think she's still solid enough that it's not too big a hindrance to her, although I do think, she could technically have been maybe a little bit more powerful in terms of attack stats. But yeah, I think overall she's pretty solid. I think she's good. She does well in this event. She tanks very well after super. You're going to see that here. She tanks very well. Her active skill can come in handy. It's very good. The interrupt is always useful in red zones. And the increase to damage is also incredibly helpful as well. So yeah, I would say, honestly, from my side, Android 21 is one, I think I said in the review, a unit I would consider just a good 2023 TWAR. She's just very, very good. She's maybe not the best offensively, she's maybe not the best defensively, but she's a little bit of both, and I think we can all appreciate that. I think her leader skill helps her out, and I think ultimately at the end of the day, she is a pretty fun, reliable unit that gives us a ton of utility, and yeah, just realistically is quite good to run. So yeah, that's basically going to be it for me. Honestly speaking, I think she does a brilliant job. You can see her tanking here really, really well, and I think overall players who have her will have a good time using her and enjoy using her, and I think that's all that matters. If you're having a lot of fun using Android 21, I think it's more than okay. And I think she is a unit that has a good kit and a fun kit, and especially if you've got the evil Android 21, the physical one, I think ultimately at the end of the day, she's really, really good alongside her. Just, look at not doing events where the evasion gets cancelled, because obviously that's going to be a bit of a problem, especially in the early phases. But Android 21 did great here, really pushed through and did a fantastic job, and I think overall was a really, really nice unit and a good pickup. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, otherwise I will see you guys in the next one. As always, it's greatly appreciated, and let me know your thoughts down below. How good do you think Android 21 is? Have you used her in any red zone stages, and which ones have you used her in? But that's pretty much it. We're going to see her here when she doesn't super. She does take a fair chunk of damage, but to be fair, I think overall she does a great job. And yeah, that is the final note for me. Android 21, great unit, really versatile, really good at utility, and bye.